Mr. Chairman, I indicated at the beginning of the confirmation process that one of the key standards that I would use in judging the nominee is whether I thought he would be able to stand up to be an independent advisor to the President representing the American people. I have my doubts about that today. And it's more than just waterboarding, because waterboarding is torture. It's his views as it relates to this administration's policies in the area of torture that have me concerned as to whether he will be an independent Attorney General. His most recent statements about suggesting that Congress pass a law outlawing waterboarding has me even more concerned, because waterboarding is torture and it's illegal today. Senator Kennedy went through the list of statutes and conventions that make it clear that waterboarding is illegal today. We passed the McCain Amendment. The cruel, inhumane, degrading treatment or punishment of persons under detention, custody, or control of the United States government is prohibited. That's the law today. Waterboarding is clearly illegal. Admiral Hudson, who was on one of our panels, testified at the confirmation hearing on Judge Mukasey, said that, and he's, by the way, his credentials, he's the former Adjutant General, Senior Uniform Advisor, Legal Advisor to the Secretary of the Navy, and the Chief of Naval Operations. He's held those positions. He says the most iconic example of torture devised during the Spanish Inquisition is waterboarding. So this is clearly illegal today, and yet Judge Mukasey hedges on this issue and suggests that we pass a statute and then he would enforce it. Well, Mr. Chairman, it's not easy to pass a statute, any statute in this Senate. There's good reason for it, because if we're going to include waterboarding, what are we going to do about the other techniques that Senator Durbin mentioned, the mock executions or forced nudity, or are we going to have to outlaw the rack? Because there's a question as to whether the rack is torture in this country. So I'm even more troubled by his suggestion that the burden is on the Congress, because the Congress has already acted. To me, the burden is on this administration, and I want an Attorney General who will give independent advice to the President. Admiral Hudson also said that the Attorney General, as our chief legal enforcement officer, has to be absolutely unequivocal as to what is torture and what is not. And I have my doubts as to whether the Attorney General will do that. Michael Mukasey needs to be the Attorney General for the American people, not just for the President of the United States. On torture, I want the President and the Attorney General to be very clear to the international community that the United States will not use torture, nor will it ever allow torture to be used against an American, and we will use every means at our disposal to hold any foreign agent accountable if they attempt to use torture against an American. Senator Graham is correct in his analogy. I agree with what he said as to why it's critically important for us to be crystal clear about the use of torture. It's our values. It's what this nation stands for. It's what we fought for over the years, to protect these values of America and to stand up for human rights. And now we have the President of the United States in a signing statement saying that the prohibition of torture may not apply to what he thinks is our right to do. And now we have an Attorney General nominee who is unclear as to whether waterboarding is torture. It's deeply troubling. Yes, Michael Mukasey is a good person. He's well qualified. He has a distinguished career in public service. But on the critical question as to whether he will be an independent advisor to the President on the use of torture, I have real doubts. And it's for those reasons that I oppose this confirmation.